Welcome to Business Talk Sister Talk. I'm Becca.
And I'm Ruthie. And today we have with us Rachel, our sister, and I'm going to give a little intro for her, and then Becca is going to tell us the title of the episode. But Rachel is the sister that's between Becca and I in age rank. So she's third, I'm fourth. And she has gone to a couple different colleges. She's currently in the Army National Guard. She's super awesome. She's very passionate about a lot of things in life. And
she's also a welder.
That's true. As my roommate says, buck wild. So she's buck wild. And then Becca's going to tell us about what this episode is going to be in regards to.
We are going to be talking about the pros and cons of going to college today. Rachel, thanks so much for being with us.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Also, we should note that Rachel's nickname is Roth, which we've talked about in a previous episode. So, and I frequently call her that. So if I say Roth or Rafi, that's Rachel.
Okay, so we're going to start with some of the pros because I think that it's always good to start out with some positivity. So, Rafi, what do you think are some pros of going to college?
Well, I think the biggest pro is that no one can take knowledge from you. No matter what happens in your life, you always can keep your knowledge. And to build on that and to push yourself through education is a really great thing.
Okay, Ruthie, you have to tell us what your opinion is on the pros because we have a lot of them and we're going to just jump into a whole bunch, but it's kind of a rapid fire kind of day. So go ahead, Ruthie.
I put this as a pro and a con, not having a lot of time with your family. So a con, not having a lot of time with your family, a pro, not having a lot of time with your family. You get to kind of branch out and be your own person. Yep. And I think that can be a really good thing sometimes.
Yeah, so true. And like every single one of us, I feel like has had a completely different college experience versus private versus public and online versus in person. There's so many different options for it. And now so much so with COVID, there's so many more things that you can do online. If you're going to college, a pro is that if you pick a major, you're going to start being in classes with people who have very similar passions and interests. And that can just continue to fuel your understanding and your learning of that topic. But it also could be something where you realize, wow, I really don't want to do this at all. Which could end up being a con because it's a waste of money, right? If you're doing something that you're not passionate about.
Yeah, but in the long run, it's a good to understand that early on. If you take a class that you're like, this topic does not interest me. But I think also along those same lines, this was another pro that I had. Like you were talking about learning alongside people who are the same interests as you. You get to hear so many different perspectives. And I think that's a really valuable part of college is that you learn from a very diverse set of people, and you're constantly learning not just from your professors, but the people around you. I think that's really valuable.
Okay, Rachel, what do you think? What is another pro for you?
The pro is if you do it right, if you pick right majors that actually are going to help you in life if you're smart about it, it's going to hugely impact and help you along your way. And it helps you set up for your future jobs to give you a good leg to stand on, you know?
Yeah, it definitely, one of the pros that I had is that it sets you up for being able to get jobs a lot more. So background for me, I went to a state school for a year and a half and then left for some family reasons and then started working at a digital marketing company and then had surgery and then now work at a big digital marketing company. And that was definitely something as I was looking for jobs, it's consistent feedback that I was getting is that you don't have any college experience. And this is I still applied for those jobs, even if it said in the application that you had to have a college experience, I would still apply for them anyway. But that was consistently some feedback was like, oh, you don't have the education requirements. So that's like where Rachel was talking about, it sets you up for success is that you have a leg to stand on. Is that a phrase? I thought it was, is it 2 legs? It feels like you need more than 1 leg. I don't know.
The phrase is a good leg to stand on.
Okay, 1 leg to stand on versus 2 legs. Just kidding. Okay. Anyway, but it sets you up as in that regards to be able to get more experience for things and getting different jobs. Okay, another pro, Becca, hit us with one.
Okay, so you can make a ton of really good connections. If you pick the right school, I definitely think I saw this, especially in certain private colleges, as well as like specific programs at different universities. So like if you want to be, say, in like the medical field or in business or whatever, and you pick a university that does a really good job at those things, it sets you up with a really good long-term network. So one of the things that I noticed, especially like if you wanted to get a job in corporate America or whatever, if you went to a certain college and you networked with those people, when you handed in your resume to get even an entry-level job, they're like, oh, you went to this college? Oh, I did too. Yeah, let's try to figure this out or whatever. Or like, this might not be the best position for you, but I happen to know that we're going to be hiring for this. And so there's a lot more of the relational side where if somebody knows the university you went to, there can be additional networking leverage that most people don't have just because they know that this degree is very intense. This program is very intense and not a whole lot of people get into it. Therefore, if you graduated from there, you come from a good educational background that you're going to be able to endure in the position that you have. And I will say that I see this specifically in education, the field of education, as well as the medical field in the state of Minnesota. And in the Midwest in general for business, where if you come from the Midwest or if you go to get a degree in nursing or whatever from the state of Minnesota and you go to get a job in pretty much any other state, they're saying, absolutely, we want you. Because Minnesota is known for having some of the best education and some of the best programs in the medical field. So knowing if you're going to do something in college, the advantage of a college is that you can be strategic in going to those places, but it's sometimes competitive. So you have to be wise about how you go about that and set yourself up to be successful in going to college. So Rafi, tell us about what are the positives of like learning and social skills you can get from college and like the group project experience. I feel like you have some good feedback on this.
Group projects. I've had some really great group projects. I've had some really, really awful group projects.
Haven't we all?
Oh, it feels like it doesn't vary. There's no like in between. It's really, really great or really awful. But socially, it's you do get to know people from like diverse backgrounds, which is really great. But okay, so my first college I went to was a private college in Ohio. Wonderful college. Way too expensive, but I absolutely loved it. The people there were fantastic. And so my group projects there were actually really great because it was open communication. It was like you say what you needed to say, and it was very helpful. We would have like, if you mean on a social level too, we still kind of debated on like a personal, private level too of things. And we were just very open to all different kinds of ideas and stuff. That transferred over because of money. The group projects there were kind of awful because they really weren't open to a whole lot of ideas, and there was a lot of different people from a lot of different backgrounds, but it seemed like everyone came from the same mindset, which is really odd. And so like a lot of things, like I noticed I didn't understand the culture there, the new kind of feel to it. So it was like you really had to tiptoe around your wording, tiptoe around a lot of discussion. So you couldn't kind of debate very much.
Like a high tension environment.
Yeah, it was high tension.
So would you say that that's a pro of college though, is having a good culture? Like if you find a good college, the culture is a pro?
It can be. It can also be a con because a lot of state colleges, I should say, have kind of cultured one mindset.
And if groupthink.
Groupthink. Yep. High groupthink. I would say because a lot of the professors kind of encouraged that kind of groupthink, and that was really difficult.
Well,
Especially
I think when you really look at a business in general, that's the same concept. Like every culture is different. And so choosing the right culture and where you go to college is super important.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So let's move on to another pro because we got to get to the cons as well.
I think we would be remiss if we did not mention one of the main pros that people think of when they think of going to college, and that is being able to get a job that has a higher income. So we had a resource here from it's study.com, and it just kind of gave a graph of different education levels in relation to how much money they make on a weekly salary basis. And then they broke it down by like master's degree, bachelor's degree, associates, some college, no degree, high school diploma, no college, and then high school diploma, or sorry, no high school diploma. And then we'll add a link to that too in our blog post. But just for it says average weekly salary in 2019 in the third quarter. A master's degree was about around $1,500, bachelor's $1,200, associates $874. This is all weekly again. And then some college with no degree is $874 again. And then high school diploma, no college, $749, and then no high school diploma is around $606 on average. And I would be interested to see where they pulled this data from, because I know that is also
it's right there, the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics. So
is that like on a whole across the whole U.S. or
yes.
are they pulling? Okay, yeah.
One thing I do think is really interesting about this data, and I tried to look at specifically the 2019 weekly salary. When you go through from no high school diploma to a high school diploma, it's a difference of $143 a week, right? And then if you go from a high school diploma to some college, you increase your weekly pay by $125 a week. But what's interesting to me is that some college and an associate's degree, there's no change, absolutely no change in having an associate's degree over just some college. They're equivalent in terms of the pay rate, which I found just fascinating. So then when you go from an associate's degree to a bachelor's degree, your pay goes up an additional $407 a week. Okay, now this is the most significant increase from associates to bachelors. And then when you look at the masters, if you go from a bachelor's to a master's, per week your pay goes up $278 a week in this 2019 weekly average salary for the US data. Now, I find that interesting. So basically, if you're getting your highest return on investment out of all of those categories, it seems the most financially lucrative by week to go from an associate's or some college to a bachelor's degree, which I found very fascinating in this data, because that's not something that I ever thought to think about. That if you have an associate's degree versus, I went to university for a few semesters, but I didn't get a degree from it. There's no financial change right now from the 2019 data. So I think that's one thing Rachel wanted to talk about, was the difference between having a degree right now versus going into the trades. And we're going to talk, or like skilled labor. So the cons, that's our list now. Rachel, you want to hit that one first?
Okay. So trade schools, that's what people are really hiring for right now. Like, if you go to be a plumber, like, you're going to make massive amounts of money right now, because no one's going into that. No one's doing that. All the people that are plumbers right now are very near retirement. So like, that's what's needed right now. So that's what's going to pay. So if you're going into these trade schools, or if you're going as an apprenticeship, even, like, that's where the money is. And I know people are like, go pursue your passions and stuff. You know, you can do a trade skill, get the money for it, and then do your passion on the side.
Yeah, which is kind of like what we talked about with Alex Rumsey last in one of our previous episodes. As she talked about how she's doing real estate photography to be able to fuel her passion for more artistic photography. So yeah, that makes sense. And there's just definitely a market for blue collar jobs right now, and the pros of, I guess that's kind of a pro of going to trade school, but then also, like Rachel was saying, apprenticeship. And another con, I guess, well, that one was kind of a weird hybrid pro and con that Rachel gave. And then what was, Becca, what did you also have for cons there?
Okay, so impractical degrees. If you get a degree that actually isn't, so first of all, when we were talking about supply and demand, if the market is saying, hey, we have like a glut of so many of these people, don't go get a degree in it, because your chances of getting a job are going to be way more competitive. So when you're thinking about, okay, where is there a need? What degree can I have? Right now, I'm going to tell you, I see a massive need for people in psychology specifically that actually go get their doctorate and work with children. There's just not enough of those people going around right now. And it's almost like, for people who need that for kids, they're literally traveling almost like a state away to find someone who's even qualified. So that's a huge need. And what does that look like to then get that degree or whatever? Because you do need a degree, which I'm thankful that that's something that someone needs to have a required degree in, and the government mandates that, because otherwise you'd have like crazy practitioners out there being like, oh, I'll solve all your problems, and then terrible techniques.
Rachel, what would be an example of an impractical degree then?
So, yeah, like art.
Fair warning to anybody who is currently going for art.
So here's my thing. If you are going for art, like if you desire art, if you are passionate about art, do it. Go for it. Don't do it as a major. Like, there are so many resources out there, online, at the library, anywhere, to do art, to learn about art, YouTube, like anywhere. But if you're going for an art degree, so here's the thing about the return investments. College is a major investment, both for time and money. Major money. But when you're doing things like art or history, and not dissing on any of these real degrees or whatever, or like any of the theoretical degrees, if you don't have a plan for what you're going
just
for,
like, oh, this is interesting.
Yeah, if you're like, oh, this seems kind of cool, I'm interested in this, and that's the degree you're deciding to go for, like, that, you're not going to get any return on that. At least not for a very long time. And probably, so environmental science degree, that's the degree I have, and I would say that that's pretty dang useless. All right, I can admit that I made a mistake.
But okay, here's the thing I want to clarify. If you make a mistake and you're in your third year, just finish it out. It's worth the degree to be done with it and say, yes, this is on my diploma, versus like you have a diploma, versus quitting at year 3, because you've already invested 3/4 of the way through. You should finish it out.
Yeah, I would agree with that. But also then at hardcore try to make a plan. But the thing that what I'm trying to say is that the investment that you're putting into it, you need to at least try to make sure that you have that return in the end. With those degrees, it is significantly more difficult to get an actual return investment into what you're putting in. So in that case, I would say that, quite honestly, it's not really worth it. If you want to try to go for first, I would highly recommend, if that's your desire to go that way, to first go to a community college and have that feel of it first. I would encourage everyone to go to a community college first and get your generals out of the way, but know what college you want to go to afterward. So get your to make sure that they can transfer over as generals because sometimes they don't match well. So make sure that they match and able to go for it and fight for those credits when you do go over.
When you
But
do
otherwise,
transfer to a different university,
Yeah.
fight for those. Yeah.
Yeah. Just have an actual plan at least. And if you don't have a plan, go to state college or community college and feel it out. How is this? Like, what can I actually do with this? Does this feel right? Do I have an idea of, yeah.
College is not for everyone. That's something that really grates on me, is that everybody just always is like, this is what you do after high school, but it's not for everyone, you know? So it would make more sense to go to a community college first, pay a lot less to find out if you don't like it than it would to go to a private school, spend $30,000 a year.
That's
and then find out you
a
don't
cheap
like it.
private school.
Oh yeah, on the low end.
Oh, okay. Actually, I have a little bit cheaper option too that I actually think is super valuable. And that's not even when you're talking about cons. Oh, you can try it out at community college. Yes, you could. Or, which I feel is a little bit more of a good way to go about things, especially if you're just trying to figure out, is this really something I'd be interested in without having to be stuck for an entire semester doing it and you hate it? Find someone whose job is that and shadow them. Or even just get coffee with them and say, hey, I'm really interested in this, but I'm not really sure if it's something I want to pursue. Can I talk to you about it and find out how your day goes? What does that look like for you? And that is totally when I realized it very young. And our mom is like super good at doing this and finding those people that can tell you if this is a good idea or not. Like for a long time, I thought I wanted to be a lawyer. And so I literally sat in on a court case and just like watched the court case. And I kid you not, I literally was sitting outside of the court case waiting, and there was the next person that was supposed to be on trial for the same case. I mean, same like multiple people, multiple defendants. And literally the kid said, so do you think we'll get caught? And I was like, I am witnessing this in front of, I am just an innocent bystander. And I'm like, what is going on? So for me, that whole experience of being like, wow, I don't know if I could work to defend somebody that's clearly guilty, who's claiming to be not guilty, and this is a losing battle. Like,
I'd never heard that. That's funny. I didn't.
Oh yeah. It was, yeah. After that, I took a long, hard look at, wow, court cases take a really long time, and you have to prep all this stuff. And I don't necessarily know if I really want to do this kind of law. And so then I just decided, I don't really want to look into that any further right now.
Also, PSEO, look into that too, because that's a good way to you'd have that whole semester long commitment, but you'd be able to take college classes in high school. Certain states have that, some don't, but there's a lot of states that offer post-secondary education option. Is that what it is?
Yep.
Option, opportunity? Yeah. For kids in high school. And there's also APA classes and things like that where you can look into that and be able to get college for free while you're still in high school, which is good option. Do that.
Anytime you can get education for free, it's if you take it seriously, it's a great opportunity.
Oh yeah, take it.
So another thing that I wanted to add as a con, especially if you're going into technology as a degree, sometimes universities are one of the slowest places to get caught up on what's happening within what are the most current things you should be learning to be ready for the tech field. And I mean, I definitely think if you go back to like a math foundational aspect, there's a lot of things you need foundationally to then be able to apply to like all these other things within like C++ and like programming and all these things. But the reality is that I know so many people who have worked in an environment in which they were doing something like working at Caribou and getting some classes from a free resource, or maybe they paid like $100 and some to get a programming class, and then they already have more advanced skills in programming on their own because it's something they enjoy, and they're getting a full-time job now programming than if they went to get a 4-year degree that they had to pay for. So because technology advances so quickly, it's really hard to update course material every single semester with what's new, because you have to be researching all the time. And we're seeing that especially within anything to do with like search engine optimization, or anything to do with digital marketing. It's really hard. When I look back at my marketing degree, I learned a ton about the foundations of marketing, and I think it was really good. But all of that digital aspects I learned after college. I learned it, I had to research it on my own, or with the jobs that I had or whatever. Like, there's so much that changes so quickly. They just can't document all of it to keep everyone updated on what's going on. So knowing that sometimes those smaller price point things are actually going to be more beneficial to getting the most current knowledge of what's working and not working within technology is a huge thing. Okay, so we're going to transition into our Sister Gawk portion, and I am pretty excited about this because Rafi obviously like has a lot of stories about us.
This story is not about us specifically, though.
Okay,
but
so
she's gonna tell us a story about our younger sister Mia.
Okay, go ahead.
So, one time I came home and it's like needed deodorant, so I grabbed a stick and it was like moldy. And I was like, what is this? It was green fuzzy mold all over this thing. And I was like, I didn't know deodorant could go bad. And I was like, this is so weird.
She's bringing it around, showing everybody, and like, wow, look at this moldy deodorant.
And then I show it to Miriam, and she's like, oh.
And laughs hysterically.
I'm like, what'd you do? And she's like, I took out the actual deodorant and put in cream cheese a long time ago. I forgot about it. It was supposed to prank you.
But the thing is, she put it, so because there's a lot of us, we have obviously more than one stick of deodorant. So Mia takes the stick of deodorant that literally nobody uses and then sticks it in this lineup of probably 4 or 5 other sticks of deodorant and just leaves it there and then forgot about it.
It's so funny.
It was so gross. I was like, well played, Mia. Well played.
It would have been a very cool prank if it would have worked.
Putting cream cheese in your armpit. Yeah.
I totally found that stick of deodorant too, and like smelled it and was like, this doesn't smell right. And then I closed it and put it back in the cabinet. Like weeks before this. Okay, well, thanks for joining us this week. We'll see you next week.